Nestled deep within the sprawling, mist-laden forests of northern England lies Ashwood Manor, a decrepit, centuries-old estate shrouded in mystery and darkness. Once a grand symbol of opulence and nobility, it now stands as a decaying monument to a forgotten past, its walls echoing with secrets and unspeakable horrors. For years the manor had remained abandoned, its gates rusted shut, its gardens overgrown with tangled thorny vines. Yet stories of strange occurrences and ghostly apparitions had kept the locals at bay, ensuring that the estate's eerie silence remained undisturbed. But curiosity often proves irresistible, especially to those with a penchant for the supernatural. Enter Amelia Roth, a determined and skeptical journalist with a reputation for debunking myths and legends. When whispers of Ashwood Manor's haunting reached her ears, she couldn't resist the lure of a potential scoop. Despite numerous warnings from the superstitious townsfolk, Amelia resolved to spend a night within the manor's crumbling walls, eager to uncover the truth behind the rumors. As dusk fell, casting long shadows across the estate, Amelia arrived at Ashwood Manor. Armed with only a flashlight, a notebook and a camera, she forced open the rusted gates and stepped onto the weed-choked path leading to the manor's grand, yet ominous entrance. The door creaked open with a mournful groan, as if protesting her intrusion. Inside, the air was thick with dust and the musty scent of decay. The grand hall, once a testament to the manor's former glory, was now a shadow of its past. Cobwebs draped the chandeliers like ghostly veils, and the portraits of long-dead occupants seemed to follow her with their hollow, haunting gazes. Amelia set up her equipment in the main hall, the centerpiece of the estate, and began her investigation. Hours passed with no sign of supernatural activity. Frustration mounting, Amelia wandered deeper into the manor, exploring room after room. She found remnants of the past: an old nursery with broken toys, a library filled with moldy, unreadable books, and a ballroom where the silence was so profound it felt almost tangible. But still, there were no ghosts, no apparitions, nothing to justify the manor's fearsome reputation. It was nearing midnight when Amelia stumbled upon a hidden staircase, concealed behind a tapestry in one of the manor's many parlors. Intrigued, she descended into the darkness, her flashlight flickering ominously. The staircase led to a dank subterranean corridor lined with heavy oak doors. The air here was colder, and an unsettling silence pervaded the space. At the end of the corridor, Amelia found herself standing before an ancient iron-bound door. As she reached out to touch the handle, a sudden chill ran down her spine, and the air seemed to hum with a barely perceptible energy. Determined, she pushed the door open and stepped inside. The room was small and circular, its walls lined with strange, arcane symbols etched into the stone. In the center stood a pedestal, upon which rested a dusty, leather-bound book. As Amelia approached, the temperature plummeted, and an eerie disembodied whisper filled the air, sending shivers down her spine. Ignoring the growing sense of dread, she opened the book and began to read. The text was written in an archaic language, but as she flipped through the pages, she found illustrations depicting dark rituals and ghastly creatures. One page in particular caught her eye, an image of the manor itself, surrounded by shadowy figures. Below it, a chilling inscription read, "The spirits of Ashwood shall rise again when the blood of the curious stains these halls." A sudden, oppressive silence fell over the room. The whispers ceased, replaced by a heavy, suffocating stillness. Amelia's heart pounded in her chest as she slowly backed away from the book. Just as she turned to leave, the iron door slammed shut with a deafening crash. Panic surged through her as she shrugged. As she walks out into the sunlight, Elena knows that she will never again be the same. But with each passing day she embraces the challenges that lie ahead, knowing that no matter what darkness may come, she will face it with courage and resilience. For in the end, it is not the fear that defines us, but the strength we find in overcoming it. And in the echoes of the forgotten, Elena finds not only fear, but the seeds of hope and the promise of a brighter tomorrow. As Elena steps into the bustling streets, she feels a sense of liberation wash over her, a weight lifted from her shoulders, replaced by a newfound lightness of being. With each passing moment, she embraces the world around her with a renewed sense of wonder, savoring the simple joys that had once eluded her grasp. But even as she revels in the beauty of the world, Elena knows that the echoes of the forgotten will always linger in the recesses of her mind, a reminder of the journey she has taken and the strength she has found within herself. And though she may never fully escape the shadows of the past, she takes comfort in the knowledge that she is not alone, that there are others who have faced their fears and emerged victorious just as she has. With a smile on her lips and a fire in her heart, Elena sets out to embrace the future, knowing that whatever challenges may come, she will face them with courage and grace. For in the echoes of the forgotten, she has found not only fear, but the power to transcend it, to rise above the darkness and embrace the light. And as she disappears into the throng of the city, Elena knows that her journey is far from over, that with each passing day, she will continue to grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient than she ever thought possible. For in the end, it is not the fear that defines us, but the strength we find in overcoming it. And in the echoes of the forgotten, Elena has found her truest self. With each step, Elena feels the echoes of the forgotten guiding her forward, a gentle reminder of the journey she has undertaken and the person she has become. As she navigates the winding streets of the city, she encounters new faces and experiences, each one a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Along the way, Elena finds solace in the simple moments, a shared laugh with a stranger, the warmth of the sun on her skin, the gentle rustle of leaves in the breeze. In these moments, she finds a sense of peace that she had lost forever. A reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is always light to be found. And as the days turn into weeks, and the weeks into months, Elena continues to embrace life with an open heart and a fearless spirit. For she knows that no matter what challenges may come her way, she will face them with the same courage and determination that guided her through the darkness. For in the echoes of the forgotten, Elena has found not only fear, but the strength to live her life to the fullest, to seize each moment with both hands and cherish it for all that it is worth. And as she looks to the future with hope and optimism, she knows that the best is yet to come. Life slowly returned to normal for Sarah. She settled into a routine, finding solace in her work and new friendships. However, the experience had left her wary of the supernatural, always cautious of any strange occurrences. For years, she managed to keep the past at bay, believing she had finally left it behind. One summer evening, Sarah received an unexpected package at her apartment. It was an old, dusty book with no return address. She hesitated before opening it, a sense of foreboding creeping over her. The cover was unmarked, and inside the pages were filled with handwritten notes in her grandmother's familiar script. As she read, Sarah realized it was a diary, detailing her grandmother's life and the strange events that had plagued her family for generations. There were accounts of ghostly apparitions, unexplained deaths, and the mysterious locket that had bound her grandmother's spirit. One entry stood out. June 13, 1952. The locket is only one part of the curse. There is another object, hidden away, that holds even greater power. It is said to grant unimaginable strength to those who possess it, but at a terrible cost. I have hidden it where no one will find it, in the hopes that it will never be used. Sarah's blood ran cold. She had got destroying the locket had ended everything, but it seemed there was more to the story. Her grandmother's warnings echoed in her mind. Could this hidden object still pose a threat? Determined to uncover the truth, Sarah decided to return to her grandmother's house one last time. She needed to find the hidden object and ensure it could never harm anyone again. With a heavy heart, she made the journey back to the secluded house in the woods. The house, now covered in vines and overgrown with vegetation, seemed even more menacing than before. She stepped inside, the air thick with a sense of foreboding. Using the clues from the diary, she began her search, scouring every nook and cranny of the house. Hours passed, and just as she was about to give up, she discovered a hidden compartment beneath the floorboards in the attic. Inside, she found an ornate wooden box, covered in strange symbols. With trembling hands, she opened it. The box contained an ancient-looking key and a small, intricately carved stone. The moment she touched the stone, she felt a surge of energy course through her, visions flashing before her eyes, memories of her grandmother, her ancestors, and the dark rituals they had performed to keep the object hidden. Suddenly, the room grew cold, and a shadowy figure emerged from the darkness. It was a tall, spectral being, its eyes glowing with malevolent intent. "You should not have come back," it hissed, its voice echoing in the attic. Sarah backed away, clutching the stone. "What do you want?" she demanded, her voice shaking. "The power of the stone is mine," the figure growled. "Your family has kept it from me for generations. But now, you have brought it to me." Realizing the gravity of the situation, Sarah knew she had to act quickly. Remembering her grandmother's diary, she recalled a passage about how to destroy the stone. She needed to take it to the ancient oak tree in the forest and bury it at its roots. With the figure closing in, Sarah ran from the house, the stone clutched tightly in her hand. She navigated the dense forest, the spectral being in relentless pursuit. Finally, she reached the ancient oak, its gnarled branches stretching towards the sky. With a desperate plea for help, she began digging at the base of the tree. The ground was hard and unyielding, but she persevered. As the figure drew closer, she placed the stone in the hole and covered it with earth. A blinding light erupted from the ground, and the figure let out a terrifying scream. The light enveloped the specter, pulling it into the earth along with the stone. The forest fell silent, and Sarah collapsed to the ground, exhausted but relieved. She knew that the darkness had been vanquished, and her family's curse was finally lifted. The ancient oak stood as a guardian, keeping the evil at bay. Sarah returned to her life, forever changed but finally free from the shadows that had haunted her family for so long. From that day on, she lived with a newfound strength, knowing she had faced the darkness and emerged victorious. And though the memories of that night would never fade completely, she found peace in the knowledge that her grandmother's spirit was finally at rest. Years passed and Sarah's life grew increasingly peaceful. She married, had children, and rarely got of the dark days that once overshadowed her. The haunted memories seemed like distant dreams. However, the past has a way of resurfacing when least expected. One crisp autumn morning, Sarah received an urgent phone call from her brother Michael. He had inherited their grandmother's old house, though he rarely visited. His voice was strained and panicked. "Sarah, you need to come to the house," he said. Something isn't right." Sarah's heart sank. She hadn't told Michael about the stone or the spirit she had vanquished years ago. She had hoped the curse was broken, but it seemed the darkness had returned. When she arrived at the house, Michael met her on the porch, looking pale and shaken. "I found this in the attic," he said, holding out an old dusty book, another diary, but this one belonged to someone named Elias, a distant ancestor. Sarah took the book and flipped through the pages. It was filled with dark rituals, summoning spells, and notes about powerful artifacts. One entry caught her eye. October 31st, 1885. The stone and the locket are but parts of a greater whole. The key must be kept safe, for it is the final piece. Without it, the darkness will never be fully contained. Her mind raced. The key she had found with the stone, it must be the key mentioned in the diary. She had got it was just a keepsake, but now its true purpose was clear. They needed to find the locket opened and seal whatever evil was left behind. Together Sarah and Michael scoured the house searching for any clue that might lead them to the lock. Hours passed, and just as they were about to give up, they found a hidden door in the basement, concealed behind a false wall. The door had an intricate lock that matched the key perfectly. With a deep breath, Sarah inserted the key and turned it. The door creaked open, revealing a dark, narrow passage leading underground. They followed the passage, the air growing colder with each step. At the end of the tunnel, they entered a cavernous chamber. In the center stood an ancient stone altar, covered in dust and cobwebs. On the altar lay a book bound in dark leather, its cover adorned with strange, glowing symbols. Michael approached the book, but as he reached for it, a cold wind swept through the chamber, extinguishing their lantern. The shadows seemed to come alive, swirling around them. "You should not have come here," a voice echoed through the darkness. Sarah recognized the voice immediately, the spectral figure from years ago. It hadn't been fully defeated, only weakened. She stepped forward, holding the key tightly. "We're here to end this," she said firmly. The figure materialized more menacing than ever. "You cannot stop what has already begun," it hissed. Ignoring her fear, Sarah placed the key on the altar, next to the book. The symbols on the cover began to glow brighter, and the ground trembled. The spectral figure shrieked in rage, lunging at Sarah. At that moment, Michael grabbed the book and began to read aloud the incantation written on the first page. The words were ancient and powerful, resonating through the chamber. As he read, the shadows recoiled, and the spectral figure writhed in agony. "Keep going," Sarah urged, her voice shaking. Michael continued, his voice growing stronger with each word. The chamber filled with a blinding light, and the figure let out one final, ear-piercing scream before disintegrating into nothingness. The light faded, and the chamber fell silent. The oppressive cold lifted, replaced by a warm, peaceful energy. Sarah and Michael knew that the evil had been banished for good this time. They left the cavern, sealing the door behind them, and emerged into the crisp autumn air, feeling lighter than they had in years. The curse was finally broken, and the shadows that had haunted their family were gone forever. Back at her home, Sarah stored the key and the diary in a safe place, hoping that no one would ever need to use them again. She and Michael made a pact to protect the knowledge they had uncovered, ensuring that their family and future generations would remain safe. And as the leaves turned and the seasons changed, Sarah found solace in the knowledge that she had faced the darkness and won. Her family was finally free, and the house that once held so many nightmares was now just a memory of a battle fought and a victory hard won.